Guten Tag, my name is DMAD, and welcome to the final part of my BEC TREK end of year trip 2020. This time, we're at the Fort Worth Zoo in, you guessed it, Fort Worth, Texas. Right off the bat, I just want to let you know that I wasn't able to see the zoo in its entirety, as I feel like everything was working against me. Not only did the weather forecast call for, and follow through with, freezing rain, but a massive part of the zoo was under construction for their 2023 master plan. That doesn't mean I didn't enjoy the zoo, but that means we won't be seeing everything this visit. But we'll talk about that later. For now, let's get into what was the Fort Worth Zoo like back in the winter of 2020. Upon entering the zoo, you are directed away from part of the construction and to one of their several flamingo enclosures, housing 3 well-known species. Due to the cold rain, not every animal was out, but one place that was on full display was their MOLA, or the Museum of Living Art, aka another herpetarium. Unlike the Dallas Zoo's herpetarium, however, Fort Worth puts their own spin on the concept. Not only does this building come with more larger scaled terrariums, but also adds fish and insects to their roster. Furthermore, some habitats, like this walk through Amazon River display, sink you down to see what life is like below the waterline. Something I found most surprising was that they were capable of displaying their critically endangered Indian gharials outdoors in this weather. And the gharials seemed comfortable with it, I'm guessing due to the water being heated. From African cichlids to bushmasters to Lake Titicaca frogs, the size of the collection and their respective habitats is nothing short of beautiful. Although I'm not one for favorites, like the tuatara in Dallas, one reptile I was more than happy to see in person was their sailfin dragon. As much as I'd like to stay where it was comfortable, we had to move on. We made our way southwards. Although, on a better day, you'd see red kangaroos and galahs, the Australian outback still allows you to see several Australian animals from the Great Barrier Reef to the southern coast, along with a bit of paradise. And Africa? At the southernmost part of the zoo, you come to Texas Wild. Sorry, that's how it was shown on the map. Initially replicating a frontier town with shops and a museum, as you go further into the area, you begin to see familiar animals that most people are used to seeing in fields or in their backyard. However, go far enough and you'll meet their red wolves. Once one of the dominant predators in the eastern US and into the Gulf Coast, their wild range has tragically been reduced to only parts of North Carolina. However, like several other zoos, Fort Worth works to keep the critically endangered canid from going extinct. Like a lot of carnivores, the cooler weather made these pups more active. Not as active, but clearly visible, was their American alligator. But due to the weather, animals like their otters and black bear weren't visible that day. Texas Wild also showcases the Lone Star State's lesser-known ecosystems, including the Gulf Coast, where you can see coastal birds in their waterfront aviary and sea life in touch tanks. Remember when I said that cooler weather made the red wolves more active? Well, that also applies to other carnivores of this section, such as their coyote, jaguar, and ocelot. Oh, maybe not. The final part of Texas Wild is their mountains and deserts, where you go into a cave and see reptiles and amphibians, as well as an entire mine of information. As we made our way back towards the other side of the zoo, we saw a variety of hit-or-miss bird displays, again due to the weather. Some highlights include this very dark picture of a blue-throated macaw, this grumpy-looking spectacled owl, probably mad about the weather, and these iridescent ocellated turkeys and tiny geese. Speaking of birds, we then went through their Raptor Ridge, where we were surrounded by the massive harpy eagle, the bald eagle look-alike, the African fishing eagle, and the Andean condor. Although closed, I got an exterior view of their parrot paradise, hosting small yet colorful parrot species. made our way to Africa, we passed what will become their new carnivore area, as well as, at the time, the construction site for their elephant habitat upgrade. The wood wall was lined with concept art and animals that guests can expect to either see for the first time or will be returning once the master plan is complete. Aside from the birds, the savanna habitat seemed pretty empty, along with both their rhino habitats, once again playing the weather. One area that wasn't empty was this. Like the gharial, the hippo was able to be exhibited that day, and chose to spend its day underwater. I don't blame them. Honestly, while I know a couple other zoos have this kind of setup for their hippos, the Fort Worth Zoo is the only one I've seen in person. Not only do you get a clear panoramic view of the animal, but also get to witness the hippos surrounded by hundreds of multicolored African cichlids. After passing another empty rhino yard and not so empty flamingo pool, I got to witness the savannah one more time, where I got to see this. Praise be Vulture Jeebus. The final part of this journey came in the form of World of Primates and the tropical aviary. Like many other animals mentioned in the video, the great apes and monkeys were hunkered down inside, but we'll get to them in a moment. When I entered the building, I faced some technical difficulties. Due to it being a tropical aviary and all, and it being cold outside, my cameras fogged up immediately, just in time to ruin my shot of the bleeding heart dove. Those are one of my favorite species to photograph. Once my cameras got adjusted to the temperature, we went around the building. The cloudy day, mixed with the low crowds, made for a very peaceful environment when looking at the birds. As you walk around the building, on the other side of the aviary, you get to see the cave-like indoor quarters of their great apes and monkeys. We got to see the lesser-known cousin of the chimpanzee, the bonobo, the Sumatran orangutan, and their troop of western lowland gorillas. But sadly, that concludes not only our trip to the Fort Worth Zoo in 2020, but also the end of year trip as a whole. We did have one more place planned to visit, but in my own words, because of the weather, the animals aren't going to want to be out, I don't want to be out, let's go home. So that led to a race to be the storm home, and well, the rest is history. All in all, while I did enjoy my visit to the Fort Worth Zoo, it was far from complete. The absent animals, plus the construction, left a bit to be desired, but that just means I'll be back in 2023 to see the zoo at its fullest.
Yeah, well, you ain't seen the last of me. I'll be back!
But with that, I think we're done here. I hope you guys enjoyed this little saga of the end of year trip 2020, and the next one will be focused on the spring of 2021. So I'll see you then. But if you enjoyed this video, consider liking and subscribing to the channel, as well as following us on our other platforms. The link tree will be in the description below. And share this video out to anyone who likes seeing surprisingly hardy birds, the Fort Worth Zoo, or zoos and animals in general. I thank you all for watching, and remember, always be prepared, do good daily, and love nature. For your life is a canvas, and you have the brush. Auf Wiedersehen!